Okay, so this is our 5th manicure, I believe, or 6th. I think it's 6th. Yes, so it's 5 weeks. So today we're going to do the same thing as usual, and these are weekly manicures. And today I'm going to use this tool. I had a few people ask me how to use it, so I'll show you today. This is from Glatsy. They actually sent us these ones too, these cuticle pushers to work with, and I'll show you guys. So that's what I'm going to use today. All right, so first we're going to remove the polish with pure acetone. Okay, so now I'm going to shape the nails a little bit. We're gonna leave them a little bit longer, yeah? So we're gonna leave the length. Just going to clean them up because this one has a little chip, just so they're nice and smooth and the shape is corrected. So I had someone ask me the other day in the comment section how to file the edges so you don't weaken the nail, but you can adjust the shape. So here it is. So basically I'm putting the file, and I like using these files because they're very thin, just in this little groove, but I'm doing this very gently. I'm not really pushing it, so you can actually do it probably this way a little bit better. So very, very gently, just slimming this nail a little bit. So that's how I do it. So I don't go like this and I don't press the nail here, because here now you are not only filing the white part, but you're filing this pink part, and that's going to, this is actually huge. So this is going to weaken the nail, but you're not going to notice until this grows out and it's going to start breaking here. So you always want to keep on the white side without really putting too much pressure. So again, I'm going to pull the skin a little bit, fit the file underneath, and do it this way, see? And I find when you do that and you wear a clear coat of polish on your nails, the nails tend to slim out a little bit. So I'm going to first just shorten this one a little bit. And now you can see I'm pulling back the skin. So the file is not like this. I think that's how it's easier to understand. So the file is not here, it's underneath here. These files are from Erica and they're super expensive. They're like $30 or something. But I like using them because they are very sturdy. They don't bend, so you have a full control on the nail. But if you are doing your nails yourself, you don't need such an expensive file. Although, if you buy this one, it's going to last you for life, because I use them every single day in the salon. So eventually they wear out, but it takes a very long time for this file to become too smooth. So these are medium files, and initially they're quite sharp, and I use them for thicker nails. Okay, I'm going to do this again. Just get in here a little bit, just... Anyway, so yes, I initially use them for thicker nails. They are also good for gel or for pedicures. And then when they become a little bit softer, I use them for the rest of the nails, for normal nails. They also have smooth pattern. And these ones are also good, but I just find I like working with the medium ones better. Again, if you're working on your own nails, then maybe you can get the smooth pattern. The smooth without pattern, it was too smooth for me. I find it was not very effective. But if you don't want to spend $30 on a file, some of them, I'm going to look for them. Some companies, I think even like Tweezerman has metal files. They're way cheaper. They're not as big as this one. Because again, this one, when I'm using it for clients, I just have a better surface to work with. But the other ones are also very good, especially for if you are using them for yourself. Like they're not expensive whatsoever. There is like a grocery store here called Mercadona that sells ones that are made by their brand Deli Plus. That's what it's called. Very good one. So I think it costs like €2, and they're quite small. So yes, I would not be using them on clients because I just don't have like a good swing. But for your own use, if you want to buy these files, they really do work. there was a little bit of, I want to show you, peeling, tiny amount. So I'm going to smooth it a little bit with the buffer. So this is something that I also wanted to show you guys how to do that. How to smooth the peeling. It's not like open peeling, but it just looks like it's peeling a little bit. First, I smooth it like this with the file. And then later I'm gonna go over with the block. And also later on in this video, I'm going to explain how to deal with the edges that are harder, right? Some people are more prone to them if you are, prone to picking a little bit or biting the nails. The skin gets a little bit thicker. Eventually it gets better when you're using urea-based creams. Actually, you know what? Hold on, before I do that. Haha, I caught myself. You definitely can have that skin improve with regular use of cream for sure. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this end and just very gently catch the living skin. So all this is the living skin. So I'm not pushing back the cuticle. This is living skin that I'm pushing back. And I'm not doing this. Let me show you. I'm not really doing this because this, I feel that it's getting underneath that skin. You don't really want to be digging underneath that fold. It's just not very safe. So what I'm doing here is doing this. This way, I think I can see it. That's right, I think you can see it. Almost this kind of movement. So I'm not pushing that tool underneath. This is important. I had quite a few people ask me if I recommend these tools for beginners, and I do, but I find that they have to be used correctly because sometimes people are being too rough with these tools, and they can just like anything cause damage, right, when not used correctly. And this step has to be done very gently. So now I'm going to apply the cuticle remover. I really love Blue Cross. It's a very good product. It's super cheap, super effective, but important part, you have to rinse it off. And I know a lot of people forget that step. That can seriously irritate your skin and even damage the nails. So you want to put it everywhere. Okay, so this one can sit for a minute and then we can do the same thing with the other hand. I also had one person comment, and I think she was doing a dry manicure. So what she was doing is she was trying to use this, and she was saying that she's trying to remove cuticle and is not removing anything. You know, everybody will have different amount of cuticle. So now this is what I'm removing is cuticle, but I find it's a little bit easier. You can do that dry as well, as you can see. You just have to be very, very gentle, that you don't scratch the surface of the nail, because this part is a little abrasive. So if you really put a lot of pressure, then you can damage the nail. Again, I'm going to show you again. This white part, that's a cuticle. So it's easier to do this when the skin is very, very soft from the cuticle remover. By the way, these are very, very prone to breakage, the tips, right? So always put it on a towel. It's a good habit to have. It's a glass after all. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this with water. Make sure you really rinse this. So I'm using a sprayer, but if you're doing your own nails, you can just rinse your hands. So now, just very gently push off that skin. So I'm concentrating on this to like roll off the skin of the nail and not trying to file the nail. And again, I'm not shoving this tip underneath the skin. These little circles. Yeah, so I keep on the nail and making these little circles gets the skin off. So this is a cuticle. So this is a dead tissue that is produced by the proximal nail fold. And this actually is this piece of skin that folds underneath and sits on top of the nail. And when that tissue and when that skin makes the cuticle stays on a nail plate. So that's a dead skin that we are removing. When the living skin, as you can see here, this skin is torn or dry or just not the best looking, the best approach is to just care for it more. Don't cut it. Because cutting is going to maybe initially make it look better, but you didn't solve the cause. So you want to care for that skin. And the more you care for it, the softer it will become. And it just takes time for the skin. If someone has been biting it for a while or picking at it, that skin will get thicker. And it's going to take time for that skin to start growing a little bit healthier. And at least a month, really, when you think about it. Because skin turns over in a month, about 28 days or something, approximately. Okay, on the other hand. I try to work from the middle down and then again from the middle down, because sometimes that's one thing when working with the tweezerman pushy, you have to be careful that you don't catch the skin. Sometimes when you start from here, it's easy to break that skin and then it becomes like a little flap that it's easy to pick at. So from the middle down. And in a salon, this is not very feasible, but if you're doing your own nails, I suggest you do the manicure and then you wait for about an hour before polishing. Just, you know, let the water evaporate from the nail plate. Because when the nail plate is wet with water, when it's submersed in water for more than a minute actually, it swells. It's like a sponge. So when it swells and you put polish on that swollen surface, the polish might not last as long. So if you want the nail polish to last a little bit longer, make sure the nails are dry. And you can push back that living skin again after an hour before you're polishing, and that's about it. And then wipe it with alcohol. Or what you can do, what I really recommend, is to give your nails a break, 1 day break between polishing. Normally I recommend, depending on the person too, like if I see that someone is developing a bit of a surface damage, which looks like kind of dryness on the surface, then I tell them to take polish off a day before they come for manicure. That way they can do either warm oil soak, or they can put a lot of oil, and that will help for sure. Because if the nails are polished all the time, they're not receiving any oils, because normally the nails would receive oils from the skin or from hair, but our hands are not producing oil really. Okay, so now let's deal with the sides. Now this part I'm going to show you, but please be super careful with it, because you don't want to be inflaming the skin and causing even more hard skin. So you can just place this file and very gently, I do that with electric file, right? But you can just very gently, I'm not really pressing a lot, but I don't recommend you using electric file if you're not doing this for a living, if you're not a professional, because you can do more damage than good with it. So the key is not to remove dry skin. The purpose of this is to just smooth the area and just give it a bit of exfoliation, that's it. So this is what you can do by yourself. And this just feels smoother, and the rest needs to be done with the creams. I like doing this after the Blue Cross, because after Blue Cross the skin is a little bit softer and it's easier to do this step, but you can also do it dry. And you can do that during the week if you feel like you have hard skin that you are very tempted to pick at. See how this is coming off nicely? Our neighbors are having a party. Seriously. We have very fun neighbors on one side. So now the parts that are sticking out, we call them skirts. So these are just pieces that when you are filing the nail, they kind of fold underneath the nail. You can, when you're doing this by yourself, you can just pull that skin back. Usually it happens more on the fingers that you use more, right? So now just feel for the smoothness. If it's smoother, then just leave it. It's the same thing with heels. Sometimes you just have a little bit of thicker skin on your heels. You don't want to be removing all that thicker skin, because obviously your body produces it for a reason, to protect your foot. But you can just smooth it a little bit so it doesn't feel annoying. And then obviously use the cream to keep the dryness away, right? Because there's two issues sometimes with the skin. One is that you can have hard skin and then you can have dry skin. There's two things. So this addresses the hard skin, and then the dry skin you want to address with using the creams. And the urea-based cream also helps the hard skin. Make sure you're not doing this, right? Because now you're gonna be filing the nail as well. So here, and usually there is a little bit of hard skin here. I'm gonna show you the rest with the electric file, and you'll see what I mean. So this is the same material. This is from the same company, actually. It's from Erica. So little taps. So this just gives me a little bit more precision, but it's the same thing. Pull the skin back. And I find when I'm doing this on a regular basis for clients, they actually have less hangnails. But again, you can learn how to do this by yourself. It's quite easy. So now if there is any little pieces that client is going to pick, there shouldn't be too many, I trim. But again, with regular manicures over time, this is going to improve big time. So you won't have to do this often. So pull the skin back, just this little piece. There we go. Okay, and the last part is the buffing. So I very highly discourage people from buffing their nails. Sometimes you have to, well, you have to. If you want the nail polish to stick, then removing the shine is going to help. So we're put in a position, you know, being in a salon, that people expect the nail polish to last. And the buffing definitely helps to achieve that. But just removing the shine. I'm not buffing for the sake of smoothing the nail. I think that's the biggest mistake. So what I'm doing now with the edges, so now it really doesn't depend, it doesn't matter what kind of file you're using, because at the end you can go with a very fine buffer and you can smooth this. And this actually makes a big difference, how the nails feel. And now what I'm going to do is, if you're doing just a clear nail polish, it doesn't really matter. If you're doing color, you can just go in that area, in the cuticle, where the cuticle was, and just feel for the surface. So I'm not really putting pressure. I'm just feeling for the surface to make sure that there's no catches. And again, I'm going from the middle down. And you know what? I often get these comments. People are like, oh my God, but the skin is so dry around the nails. Yeah, but what am I supposed to do? Cutting the skin is not going to solve it. Cutting the skin is not going to fix the skin. Caring for the skin is going to fix the skin, and that has to be done by the client. So I can do only so much from my end. Okay, so this was just the free edge, and very gently with the corner. These are, I think they are 320 grits, something like that. I have a link to them as well. So these nails are fine. There was no peeling, nothing. They look super healthy. Just this one. So it's not open. It's not really peeling. But what I'm going to do, don't do this, because when someone puts the buffer on the surface of the whole nail, you're just going to now buff the whole nail. So you're going to remove a layer from about here to here. And now this whole nail that now is healthy is going to start splitting eventually, because you just remove that protective layer. You don't want to be removing that protective layer. So what I'm going to do is just hold the buffer this way. And with this, you can, if there is some peeling pieces, you can then put a little bit more pressure. But this way, you're not going to overdo it because you're just grabbing the end of the nail, right? And this is what I would do, just to make sure that it's smooth. Now it's smooth. Now I'm just going to wipe the nails with just pure alcohol. And we're going to polish. This polish dries super quick. You see this is dry already. So sometimes I use one coat depending on the client. This gives you a very natural look. It's not very shiny. It just has like this healthy sheen to the nails. But for better shine, you can use 2 coats. I know it's super expensive, the Dior, but it's really nice. The nice thing about it is that it's not too brightening, because you can't see it now, but outside, actually at the end of the video, I'll just do a quick video or picture outside. So it brightens the nails without making them blue. And some people comment and they say that they like the blue look, which is fine. I actually don't mind it either. But a lot of my clients, I'm speaking from just my salon experience, that a lot of my clients don't like that look. So this is why I have the Dior, and I'm happy with it, because majority of my clients really like that look. It's very natural. So normally if I don't do talking like I did, explaining, this takes me about 25 minutes. So it's a very quick manicure. And if you were doing this yourself, I recommend doing manicures, like I said, mentioned before, weekly, because that really maintains the skin around the nails. There's much less to do. And if the nails are not perfect at the beginning, don't worry about it. That's fine. It just takes time. And I did a video actually of this client's, her transformation. So actually I'm gonna link this below as well. So just have faith in the process, and eventually the nails get better and better. And this is only really 5 weeks since her first manicure, and we have incredible transformation. So just have a little bit of patience and and you will have the results without having to cut the skin around the nails, without having to do anything difficult or drastic. And just remember that daily care is as important as the manicures themselves, because you can only do so much in half an hour once a week, right? But what you do every single day, it really adds up. So I recommend using oil after each hand wash. Okay, so now I'm gonna get back to the oil application when we are applying oil, but we're gonna let the nails dry now for 2 minutes, and they're gonna be dry. Okay, in 2 minutes the nails are dry. So now we're gonna apply oil. So the important thing is that, by the way, I'm going to use this nice peach oil. But people often see these videos and they see me apply a lot of oil and they think that they have to use this much oil all the time, and you really don't. You can just use this drop and really grab it and just put it all over your nails. The reason why I'm applying a little bit more oil right now is because I just, use the cuticle remover, that it's very drying, could be irritating, and the alcohol to wipe the nails. So it's like a more of an intensive treatment maybe, but if you're doing this yourself, I'm going to link a super quick video on how I do it. But this is a very important thing to mention, because again, people are watching and they are seeing this and they think that this is how much oil they have to use. You don't, because very often, I hear that people can't use the oil because they don't want their hands greasy. Well, if you apply very tiny amount of oil, your hands are not going to be greasy. If they're greasy, then you're applying too much oil. So I recommend using the oil after each hand wash, because when you think about it, when you wash your hands, you are washing off all the protective oils from your skin. So you want to replace it every time. So make that a routine. So you wash your hands, apply a drop of oil. That's it. Very, very quick. And also, a very important part, I'm going to link few very nice and light, gentle hand wash gels, because some of the soaps that you might be using are very, very drying and very irritating. And if you wash, especially if you are the type of person that likes to wash their hands a lot, you don't need that kind of strong detergents. You just need something very, very gentle. So I'll link that. I'm going to make a separate video about those cleansers. They're called oil cleansers, but they're actually not oils. They're just very, very gentle cleansers. Okay, so this is it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section if you have any additional questions, and I will definitely be happy to answer those questions. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.